Father.
Did you fuck me?
What?
Is this some kind of incest thing?
No.
Then what the fuck is this?
You one of us now?
Well, if you can't beat him, join him. Then fuck it, beat him.
For years, superhero stories promised us something simple. Heroes would rise, villains would fall, and eventually the world would return to normal. But The Boys was never interested in that promise. Instead, it asked a far more dangerous question: what happens when the people with the most power on Earth are the least stable ones alive? Now, the story that asked that question is about to end. Before we begin, would you please support me? Subscribing is free and very important to me. For better analysis and more videos, please subscribe and like. The first full trailer for the 5th and final season of The Boys has arrived. And after watching it closely, it's clear that this isn't just another season. This is the collapse of the entire world. The show has been building since the beginning. And if the trailer is telling the truth, nobody is safe anymore. Prime Video confirmed that the final season will begin on April 8th, with 2 episodes released together. From there, the story will unfold weekly until the final episode arrives on May 20th. That schedule alone tells us something important. The show isn't rushing to the end. It's building toward a long, explosive conclusion. But before we talk about what's coming, we need to remember where the story left us. Season 4 ended in chaos. The United States had just declared martial law under a newly elected president. Homelander was effectively positioned as the most powerful figure in the country. And the line between superhero, celebrity culture, and authoritarian control had finally disappeared. The world inside The Boys had crossed the point of no return. Meanwhile, the team we've followed since the beginning was shattered. Huey, Mother's Milk, and Frenchie were captured and thrown into what the government calls a freedom camp. Annie January, better known as Starlight, was still trying to rally resistance against the overwhelming force of the Supes. Kimiko had vanished, and Billy Butcher was preparing something that could change everything. When the trailer opens, the tone feels darker than anything the show has done before. The narration explains that Homelander's world now operates entirely under his unstable ego and absolute power. It's a terrifying shift because for the first time in the series, the villain isn't hiding anymore. He's in control. At one moment in the trailer, we see Homelander climbing a staircase slowly, almost ceremonially. By the end of the preview, he's sitting behind the desk in the Oval Office. The symbolism is impossible to ignore. Power has finally reached the top, but the trailer also reveals that Butcher isn't done fighting. In fact, he may be more dangerous than ever. After gaining temporary superpowers and discovering a virus capable of killing every supe on Earth, he now holds something that could wipe out the entire superhero population. Think about that for a second. The final battle of The Boys may not be about defeating Homelander alone. It might be about deciding whether the entire supe race should survive. That idea alone turns the last season into a moral catastrophe waiting to explode, and if you've followed the show closely, you know Butcher might actually be willing to pull the trigger. Now here's where things get even more interesting. The trailer also connects directly to the events of the spin-off series. Gen V. Characters like Marie Morrow and Jordan Lee appear alongside Starlight, showing that the young heroes introduced in the Godokin storyline are now part of the larger conflict. That crossover changes the scale of the final season dramatically. Instead of one small rebel group fighting Vought, we're now seeing multiple factions preparing for war. Some want to destroy the system, others want to control it, and somewhere in the middle are characters who still believe there might be another way. The cast returning for the final season is massive. Carl Urban returns as Billy Butcher, Jack Quaid as Huey, Anthony Starr as Homelander, Erin Moriarty as Annie January, Jesse T. Usher as a Train, Laz Alonso as Mother's Milk, Chase Crawford as The Deep, Karen Fukuhara as Kimiko, Toma Capone as Frenchie, and then there are the surprises. Jensen Ackles returns as Soldier Boy, a character whose violent charisma made him an instant fan favorite. But this time, things look even more chaotic because Ackles will share the screen with 2 actors many fans instantly recognized, Jared Padalecki and Misha Collins. That reunion alone is enough to spark excitement among longtime Supernatural fans. The trailer shows Ackles confronting Collins' mysterious character, even attempting to choke him in one scene. Whatever alliance or conflict exists between them hasn't been explained yet, but it's clear their story will play a major Roll in the final season, and that brings us to something actor Carl Urban said recently at a fan convention panel. When discussing Season 5, Urban warned fans not to get too comfortable with their favorite characters. According to him, the opening episode alone will hit audiences emotionally and remind everyone just how high the stakes have become. In other words, the show might start the final season by taking away someone important. That possibility feels very real. The Boys has never hesitated to kill major characters. From the beginning, the series has made it clear that survival isn't guaranteed just because someone is popular with fans. If anything, the opposite might be true. The bigger the emotional connection, the more powerful the loss. Now let's talk about Homelander. For 5 seasons, he has slowly evolved from a terrifying corporate mascot into something much worse. At first, he needed Vort's approval. Then he needed public admiration. Now it appears he needs nothing. The trailer suggests he's attempting to become truly unstoppable. If Homelander reaches that level of power, the entire world could fall under his control. That's why the final season isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about survival, and this is where the virus Butcher possesses becomes so dangerous, because once that weapon is used, there's no going back. The Boys has always thrived on moral ambiguity. The heroes aren't clean, the villains aren't always obvious, and sometimes the only available choices are terrible ones. Season 5 looks ready to push that tension further than ever before. Beyond the main story, the universe of The Boys continues to expand. Another prequel series titled Vought Rising is currently in development. That project will explore the early days of the Vought Corporation, focusing on characters like Soldier Boy and Stormfront. That means even as the main series ends, the larger world of corrupt superheroes and corporate manipulation will continue. But first, the original story has to reach its conclusion, and judging from the trailer, that ending will be brutal. Homelander has the power, Butcher has the weapon, the world is trapped between them. The question now is simple: who survives the final fight? And maybe the bigger question is this: when the dust settles, will there even be a world left worth saving? The final season of The Boys begins April 8th with 2 episodes on Prime Video and continues weekly until the series finale on May 20. One last war is coming, and if the show has taught us anything, it's that the ending probably won't look anything like we expect. This is Screen Radar, and if you want more deep dives into the biggest shows, trailers, and cinematic universes shaping the future of entertainment, stay tuned for the next breakdown.